This is Chris Byrd, former two-time heavyweight champion.
He is the pride of Clinton, Michigan, the heavyweight no one wants to face, Chris Byrd.
Hi, this is Chris Byrd, former two-time heavyweight champion. This is a Bird's Eye View. Today I have my special guest, best friend, former junior middleweight champion, Paul the Ultimate Vaden. What's up, Paul? How's everything?
Just happy to be here in what I consider the best view in boxing, which is the bird's eye view. So glad to be here.
Well, this is the life and times of Paul Vaden, the ultimate. So 1989 come around, we make it to the finals of the U.S. Championship, us two, and we're boxing each other, facing off. This is a whole new era of the 88 is over, Olympics. So everybody's looking forward to 1992.
Correct.
Because I was in those same 88 trials.
Absolutely.
And then 89 comes. U.S. Championship, the biggest amateur tournament.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
It's the funniest story. So I get the opportunity. I moved up the weight class to from 147, which I was killing myself to make the one to 156. And then, so 156, and then you were 139.
Yeah, 139 in
taller
Olympic trials.
139, killing himself to 156. And then, so we went through our areas, and I saw you fight against when you beat fingers, and I was like, I like your style. And then I remember when Todd Foster and I was pulling for you, and I liked your style. I liked the way you box. But I always, before that, I always remember Patrick Byrd. Everybody, Pat Byrd, P. Byrd. And so I didn't know him, but I just knew the name, P. Byrd.
P. Byrd, he was
Patrick
number one in 1987.
So, yeah, it's like the guy and so when I saw you fight and stuff, I liked the way you fought, and then you do the tournament. And then we actually had a situation where out of everybody, because we had so many people in our division, we ended up having, we had our semifinals at nighttime. Our finals was like at 7 a.m. up at and where we train at, and where we train at. And you beat me in a 3-2 split decision. A 3-2 split decision, and you won. You won that.
We had about 8 people watching.
We had 8 people. 7 of them were working the corner. That's including the referee.
Oh, we forgot about janitor. He was sweeping. He was doing his job.
But yeah, and then the janitor gave out the awards, actually. But you won.
Yeah, it was a great fight.
Yeah.
And what I tell people, you are the most competitive. The most competitive I've ever fought, probably in my whole career as far as competition-wise. Not wanting to lose.
Thank you.
And then after the U.S. Championships, 89, I won a 3-2 split decision. We go to training camp, and we form this bond of friends. It was friendship, even in that locker room, but major bond of friendship. And how was that for you even to this day?
I will never forget the time. I will never forget when it transpired. We were sitting there, we were in the hallway, and we started talking about, you told me about your girlfriend, you showed me a picture of her, but we were joking around, and that night we ended up staying, everybody was joking around, but me and you just kept joking around, and the next morning we just started from that moment on, we talked a lot, and then from then on, that whole camp, it was just like a total, and then our ideologies about boxing and who we liked, the certain boxers, and who's smart, and as far as the artistry behind boxing. We always saw boxing the same way, but also the friendship.
In your first title defense, you fight a future Hall of Famer. I'll just put it like that. And you tell him who you fought and how you felt about that fight.
Well, that's interesting. I fought Terry Norris. And the thing about me was I was willing to find out. And it was interesting. There was a lot of stuff going on between me and Terry Norris. That's the only individual that I went outside of my character and where I had disdain for someone. And I went to those levels. And because of that, there's a lot of things, like I said, there was a lesson learned. And God is not only a merciful God, he's also a teaching God. So, and what he taught me through that message and the lesson is that I'm not God. And what I mean by that is I got to the point where I was being the adjudicator. Like I was judging someone and I was going to teach him the lessons. It's not for me to teach Terry Norris the lesson. God used the moment right there for me to be taught a lesson and humble me, where I was basically, I've never been in a fight before where I was sapped of all elements of my gifts. I mean, my mind was telling me everything, but my body couldn't tell me. I mean, I was very, very weak for the Terry Norris fight. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But that was where the lesson, he chose that time to humble me in front of people. And I got it, like 6 rounds in. But the thing about it was people were saying that I was fearful of Terry Norris, which I was very ignorant, because if you think about it, if I'm fearful of him, I would have never signed to fight him. Remember,
First title defense.
The first title event, I'm not going to fight him.
Yeah.
I was the mandatory, so I had a full year if I wanted to fight him. I would have never fought him. I would have never signed him. When the fight got canceled 2 days before we were supposed to fight, and I just said when and where, and I came up, I could have got out, escaped out of that, and I said, okay, when and where.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go, I'm not a fool. If I was scared of him, why would I sit up there and stand there for 12 rounds?
Yeah.
People, how many fights have you seen someone say, God, where was the punch at? That guy went down and got counted out. So I'm not going to sit in there for 12. I obviously thought that I was some way, somehow, I've been winning all my life, was going to find a way to win. But I was humble. So the lesson was learned, and I lost. The thing about it was, once I find out, just in victory, you try to have grace. In loss, you have to have grace and be humbled as well. So that's why you didn't hear me make any comments or anything like that. People say he act like, he should have been more passionate about his loss. No, I didn't want to lose. But when you do lose, and that time does happen, you have to be a champion in defeat as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that was big. I mean, I remember the loss, to Terry Norris. That was your first loss.
First loss.
And I was hurt just watching on TV. And to me, it wasn't the fight that I know how you usually fight.
Right.
You didn't look the same. I know weight, losing weight and stuff, and it happened. And then you lose. But I know you, competitor, bouncing back, fighting, and winning more fights and trying to get back in the mix. But let's fast forward a little bit more. So in 1999, you're in the fight with Stephan Johnson, and you win by a TKO in the 10th round. But it was a tragic incident that happened where Stephan Johnson went to a coma for like 10 days and he passed away. Sometimes stuff like that happens, to boxers, and nobody talk about the boxer that was actually involved in it. They don't talk to him and how you felt and how you still going through stuff to this day.
Stephan Johnson, November 20. We were about to move up on the anniversary of it, 1999, November 20th, and fighting for a vacant USBA championship. And you're correct, Stephan fought a very passionate fight. He was digging, trying, as equal as I was, obviously, like I said, being competitive. And he was taking a lot. And truthfully, I went through that course of that fight, not through the fight, through the process of the fight, not really knowing much about him. I knew he fought Roy Jones. I knew he was a veteran. He fought a bunch of people, or what have you. But I didn't know about the situation that transpired beforehand. So I didn't know he had a situation that happened a year or so before in Canada against Fritz Vanderpool until after the fact.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I would stop him in the 10th round. The young man would never regain consciousness. Now, you've got to understand what happened in my 1999. January 3rd, I would lose my cousin to suicide over a girl. His father, my uncle, would also commit suicide on August 9th, 1999. Boxing has always been my Calgon. Have girl problems, any parents, my parents' divorce. I always had boxing to go to get that escapism, and for whatever reason, boxing was supposed to be this for me again, and losing these two people. So when this happened, and they said that they were huddled up after the fight, and the guy, they said they were going in for emergency surgery, and it didn't look good, and everything looked grim. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I go, you've got to be kidding me. So it was like an additional horrific episode that was happening in 1999. So when he passed away on December 5th, 1999, after 15 days of being in this coma, I got to the place, man, where I really thought that death was lurking out, going to pay me back. It was happening too easily. Too many people were dying that were close to me, and then and when I say close, me being in the ring. I would read about these horrific episodes, but I never saw myself being in this type of situation. So now, in addition, I started becoming scared to live. I was very difficult to live with. I mean, I was married. I've got a son who just turned 3, so I had to be. Just so you know, I retired that night as a boxer, November 20th. I was done.
Because you fought after that.
I fought after that.
Yeah,
I fought after that. But I fought not to win or lose. I would come back in April. I fought because I needed to know if I was going to live or die. I was calling my doctor every day with something. At first, I thought after the situation, I got an MRI on my brain because I wanted to make sure I was okay. Check, fine. Then I said, do I have MS? MS, what makes you think you have that? Well, so I would read WebMD, and there would be 43 symptoms. I look for one symptom, and I go, I might have that. Do I have throat cancer? Do I have lupus? I would call all the time. So I was being difficult to live with, thinking, like I said, something was going to snatch me. And so I remember my son, I would take him, he's still a baby, so I would have him in a stroller, and I had this prayer that I would always give, and I go, Lord, whatever happens to me, please don't let it happen on my watch when I have this baby with me. Please don't let it happen. If you're going to let anything happen to me, let it happen when he's not here with me. And so as I went through that, I finally just realized that I needed to find out. I didn't come back to that ring. I didn't come back to the ring to win or lose. I was done November 20th. I came back for the first time ever to see if I was going to live or die. If I was going to die or not. So I remember I was married to Lisa, and I remember telling her, if anything happens to me tonight, I want you to know that you and Dane are the most important people in my life, because she wasn't there, and I called her phone. I had to say that because my uncle maybe didn't get an opportunity to tell people that. My cousin possibly didn't get an opportunity. Stefan possibly didn't get a chance to tell his fiance or his family member. I needed to say that because I didn't know. I was hurt. I was a shell of my former self, but I was hurt in the 5th round. And I started fighting back, but I wasn't fighting back to win the round or get anything back. I was fighting to live. I wanted to live. So the course, this battle, this ebb and flow of this fight was more about me finding out the answer to live, fighting. I wanted to live. There was no doubt. I wanted to live. And I got to this place, and I heard the most beautiful sound that I could hear was that final bell, that 12th round, and I got my answer. I was alive. So, and then from then on, I was able to push forth, and start to do the things because, like I said, I was done as a boxer November 20th.
Yeah. See, that's the hardest thing. That's one thing boxers never think about. Never think about, and it's a reality at times, very few times. I mean, it's a beautiful sport. And with you going through it and you being my best friend, knowing the stuff you've been going through and dealing with, up until this day, and that was what, 1999? And this is 2012, and we're in November. You still having effects from that moment?
There's not a day I don't ever think about it. Not one day. There's not one single day that I don't think about it. However, I understand too that God also put the right individual in this place to have to endure this situation and use it as a springboard to basically uplift and inspire people who probably are dealing with situations similar or feel that they have something that they're engaging or encountering that's similar, that can basically get them out of that hole and reach for hope. So he chose the right individual to have to endure it. But I did reach that shaky road. There was a time that I was wobbled, but he got me back home.
Oh, that's a blessing.
Absolutely.
I mean, knowing you and talking to you, we have a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
We laugh a lot, but touching on that subject, and this is for like all boxers.
Right.
If you went through something like that, and dealing with it, and I seen how you dealt with that and that side, just praying for Stefan's family to this day.
Of course.
To this day, it never ends for that side, his family and friends and stuff. So, man, I love you. You my best friend, and I thank you so much for just being on this show and talking about your life and your career and even Stefan. And actually open up and talking about it. Thanks a lot.
I love you more, and I'm just so happy that you're getting out doing this type of situation, giving pioneering something. What I believe that as far as giving a voice to the boxers and from a perspective of the performers, the actual people who are taking, who basically are the ones in the ring that are perfecting the craft, the ones that are orchestrating and rendering the service to the people. So for the fact that you're being a pioneer with this, I'm very proud of you, and like I said, I'm also equally proud to be a part of it.
Thanks a lot. This is the bird's eye view. This was former junior middleweight champion, like I said, Paul Vaden, the ultimate, my close friend. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. Check out the bird's eye view every Thursday. We'll bring you something new, something exciting, something different. Thanks a lot.